There's something almost spiritual about stepping into an open world game for the very first time. That feeling when the screen fades in, the music swells, and you suddenly realize this isn't a level, it's a world. A living, breathing place where every street, every forest, every mountain peak is yours to explore. These worlds aren't just games, they're experiences, almost sacred in how they pull us out of our own lives and throw us into something bigger than ourselves. But behind every breathtaking landscape and jaw-dropping skyline lies a story of ambition, failure, controversy, and triumph. Open worlds have given us some of the most gaming's most legendary moments, and some of its ugliest disasters. They've promised us freedom and delivered masterpieces. They defined entire generations. And they've also pushed technology to its breaking point, leaving behind broken promises, bug-ridden messes, and entire franchises buried under its own weight. This is the lineage of open world gaming, the good, the bad, the legendary, and the downright disgusting. And trust me, once you see how deep this rabbit hole really goes, you'll never look at your favorite game the same way again. The story of open worlds don't begin with GTA or Skyrim. It actually began back in 1984 with Elite, a space simulator that gave players something unheard of at the time, a galaxy-sized playground with no strict path to follow. You could trade, fight, explore, it's all up to you. The spirit of choice laid the foundation of everything that came after. From there, games like Legend of Zelda and Ultima before it gave players vast lands filled with secrets, turning video games into adventures that felt alive. These weren't just levels, they were entire worlds you could lose yourself in. That first taste of freedom changes everything, and it set the stage for developers to chase bigger and bolder dreams. Grand Theft Auto 3 didn't just give us a regular old city, it gave us Liberty City, a fully realized world where crime, chaos, and freedom coexisted in a way that no one has ever seen before. Skyrim came in swinging with dragons and endless mountains. Witcher 3 redefined storytelling by proving an open world could be both massive and meaningful. And then there's GTA 5, the crown jewel. Los Santos isn't just a map, it's a living organism, pulsing with life, mischief, and stories waiting to happen. These are the titans that shape not just gaming, but culture itself. Becoming more than games, they became touchstones of imagination. But what makes open worlds magical isn't just the blockbusters, it's the hidden gems that dare to be different. Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl turned a radioactive wasteland into one of the most haunting open worlds ever created. Dragon's Dogma gave us a wild, chaotic sandbox where every encounter felt unpredictable. Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning may have been buried into financial disaster, but its vibrant, lore-rich world still echoes with passion. Even indie marvels like Outer Wilds, with its tiny clockwork solar system, proven that size doesn't equal depth. Sometimes the smallest worlds feel the most infinite. These forgotten legends remind us that open worlds aren't just how big a map is, they're about how deeply they let us live inside them. What truly sets aside open worlds apart from just any other regular game is scale. It's the way that they blur the lines between visual and real life. Think of Assassin's Creed 2 letting you climb the rooftop of Renaissance Florence, or Red Dead Redemption 2 making you pause just to watch the sunset over a dusty frontier town. These games became more than entertainment. They became time machines and portals into realities. They're allowed to let us live out fantasies in our own world we could never actually deliver. Sailing through the Caribbean as a pirate in Black Flag, wandering the desolate beauty of Shadow of the Colossal, or uncovering mysteries in the neon underworld of Sleeping Dogs. Each one of these worlds isn't just a backdrop, it's a character within itself, breathing, shifting, and shaping your every choice. Open worlds have reached a point where they feel less like playgrounds and more like alternate lives, teaching us that real magic isn't the endless quest or massive maps, but the moments where you forget you're holding a controller at all. Now look, for every masterpiece that redefines the genre, there's an open world game that feels more like a wasteland of broken promises. It's actually really painful to admit, because building an open world is one of the most hardest things you can do in game design. You're not just creating levels, you're creating an ecosystem, cities, characters, systems that all need to breathe together. But when the vision outpaces the expectation, the results become ugly. Look at Cyberpunk. At launch, it wasn't vibrant, the living city wasn't promised, it was a neon shell collapsed under bugs, crashes, and broken AI. Fallout 76 wanted to deliver a connecting wasteland, but instead gave us an empty husk where the soul of Fallout had actually been stripped away. And then you have games like Too Human or Risen 2. They were ambitious in scope, but fell apart under clunky mechanics and uninspired worlds. The dream was there, but the reality was really hollow. The most disgusting part about open worlds isn't just the glitches of the lifeless maps, it's the betrayal of trust. Players are sold within trailers, promising endless freedom, dynamic choices, bustling cities, and emergent gameplay, only to boot up the final product and realize the world they've been given is nothing but smoke and mirrors. No Man's Sky at release, despite its redemption later, was a prime example. Billions of planets that all felt the same. Beautiful on the surface, but empty in the soul. Watch Dogs promised hacking that would change everything, but the final game felt really repetitive and shallow compared to its dazzling previews. These aren't just bad games, they're missed opportunities, worlds that could have been alive but instead became moments of overhype. Yet, by the time Watch Dogs 2 rolled around, things kinda shifted. San Francisco was brighter, bolder, and a lot more playful, showing that open worlds thrive when they embrace personality. Then you got the Saints Row series, which took things so much further than expected. Exploding with absurdity, gang wars turned into alien invasions, dubstep guns, and superpowers. It was chaotic, it was stupid, and it was beautiful. Saints Row proved that open worlds don't always have to be serious epics. They can be playgrounds of pure insanity where the rules are meant to be broken. Then there's the surprising frontier mobile open world games. Games like Genshin Impact and Minecraft Pocket Edition have proven that massive explorable worlds can fit in your pocket. For millions of players, these games weren't just casual time killers. They're getaways to infinite adventures that live in the palm of their hands. It's wild to think about how far we've come from Elite's wireframe galaxies of the 80s computers to an entire universe running on a phone. The truth is, open worlds aren't just games anymore. They're ecosystems, consistently evolving with technology, creativity, and the giant community that the open worlds have. They're where developers test the limits of what's possible and where players get to taste something bigger than themselves. And that's the interesting part. Open worlds aren't just about finishing the story, they're about living inside of it. At the end of the day, open world games are more than just entertainment. They're reflections of human ambition. They're proof of what happens when creativity collides with technology. When developers dare to give us something that's not just a game, but an entire universe to exist inside. The great ones stay with us forever, etching their landscape into our memories like real places that we actually been. The ugly ones remind us of the price of chasing perfection, showing that freedom isn't easy to craft and sometimes dreams collapse under their own weight. But whether they soar or stumble, every open world is a piece of a bigger story. The story of how far gaming has come and how much further it can actually go. And that's why the genre is so addictive, because every time you step into a new open world, there's that spark, that electric feeling that maybe, just maybe, this is the one that changes everything. These games feed our hunger for discovery, for freedom, for lives bigger than our own. And as long as there are dreamers willing to build worlds and players hungry enough to explore them, open world games will never die. They will just keep evolving, keep challenging us, and keep pulling us back in. This isn't just history, it's prophecy. The worlds of tomorrow are waiting, and trust me, you're gonna want to be there when the next one opens its doors.